About 2 weeks ago, I put up a video on the channel discussing Clive and first impressions. Was he broken on release or was he not? The age-old question since the Leroy and Fakam Ram days in Tekken 7. Well, it's been about 2 weeks of him being in the game, and I have somewhat of a different opinion about him. You'll remember if you watched that video that I kind of went back and forth in terms of what I thought about strength of the character. Now it's been about 2 weeks and I have what I think is a better understanding of the character and how he plays in the game. So, in today's video, we're going to go over some of the things that makes him quote-unquote broken, although I don't really like using that word unless a character legitimately breaks the game. But I do think that Clive is too strong, and we're going to discuss why in this video. Feel free to leave a comment if you disagree with anything I say in this video. As always, I like hearing other people's opinions. If you like the video, leave a like, and if you like the content and you want to find your way back, hit the subscribe button down below. You guys know I really appreciate that. Let's get on with the video. So, is Clive actually broken or, you know, top 5? No, but there is one move, in my opinion, that puts him way up the list in terms of strength. And I'm sure you already know what that is. It's his forward 1+2. This move is 16 frames fast, it's long range, it's safe at -8, it's mid-mid, it's homing, it wall splats, it's a heat engager, it's a heat dash launcher, all of those properties I just said, in my opinion, should never be in a single move in Tekken, for any character whatsoever. In other words, a move that covers so many options should never be the case. It should never be the case in this game. This move covers so many options that it leaves very little for counterplay. Technically, you can actually sidestep this. I'm sure you've played against a lot of Clives in Ranked, and if you're a player that likes to sidestep a lot, maybe you've got unlucky like I have a couple of times and sidestep this move. And there is a specific sidestep sequence where you can sidestep block and then you can sidestep block, get hit by the first, and then sidestep again to sidestep the second, right? But realistically, that's not a proper counterplay to a move, right? Or to like a character in general. That's just in essence, a 50-50. You know your opponent is going to do forward 1+2, and that's how you're countering it with very specific sidestepping timings, right? So, with that move aside, let's talk about his strengths in general. He's a mid-range monster. Like with forward 1+2, like we've already covered, there are some other moves that are just crazy strong, and this will be the kind of theme with Clive. He excels at mid-range and long range, to be honest. But so, forward 1+2, we've already covered this. Down 1+2, this is a safe mid-range counter-hit launcher, which gives very good Oki. So, the counter hit, up close, obviously it's going to hit. Even from back here, it will counter hit. Even from back here, it will actually reach. So, down 1+2 is one of his best moves. It also tracks like crazy. So, if I do like sidewalk right, for example, that's going to track. Do sidestep left, or sidewalk left, sorry. It doesn't track as much, right? You can sidewalk this, right? But still, it covers a lot of really good options. This move isn't like one of the like offenders of being like broken or quote-unquote broken or like too strong, but it is super, super good. And it also hits from like a mile away as well. It's got very deceiving range. It's also really, really good Oki as well. Not that Clive actually needs any more Oki. It's really, really good. Forward 2 is a safe mid-range counter hit launcher. Oh, I should have said the down 1+2, by the way, is safe at -6 as well. Not like -9 or -8, it's -6. It's what makes it so good. As well as being very good Oki, right? Because if you fail the Oki, you're not going to be punished. Forward 2, -7. I say mid-range. It's kind of long range, to be honest. It hits from miles away. -6 from far away, -7 up close. Again, it's a safe mid-range counter hit launcher, and it builds, if you can see the meter in the top left where it says 1, That's your Zantetsuken meter, right? Once you get this to 5, as it builds meter, right, once you go from 1 to 2, this move, Severed, will do more damage. So from 1, it'll do a certain amount of damage, 2, it'll do a bit more damage, 3, it'll do more damage than that, and so on and so forth until you reach to level 5, and it does, well, I'm not going to show it, but it does about 85 damage, or 80 damage, I'm pretty sure. A shitload of damage, basically. Void Void 2, you can actually step this. It's actually quite linear. As you can see, you can step it either side. But it is very, very good, especially as keep out. You stop people approaching you. That's also going to be a big theme with Clive, as that nobody wants to approach you, mainly because of this move, to be honest, because it covers so many options. Back 4. Safe. Mid-range. Counter-hit launcher. He's basically got Kazuya's steel pedal in forward 4, right? But his is back 4. Like Devil Jin's. It's also -9. 18 frames fast. It's very, very good. You don't actually see this utilized a lot because Void 1+2 basically dominates the gameplay, and Void 2 also builds up Zantetsuken, so it's almost not worth using back 4. Although I would say for Oki, you're either going to use down 1+2 or back 4, right? Back 2. This is one of his best moves, in my opinion. Mid-range. Oh, I should say -4, by the way. It's a high. Mid-range high. Tracks both sides. You can't step this. And on normal hit, you can get any follow-up from Phoenix Shift. Guaranteed. This is guaranteed. This is guaranteed. Guaranteed. Everything is guaranteed, right? Oh, even it's 1+2 heat engager, right? So that means in heat dash, this is all guaranteed from a back 2, right? -4. By the way, -4. On counter hit, you get nothing, but like, come on, man. That's kind of crazy. So back 2 is super good, one of his best moves by far. Also one of his best moves, which is what we're going to move on to now, is his back 1+2 Power Crush. -14, right? You might think, Eagle, that's -14. You can easily punish this. He's super punishable, right? What if I use it from here? Is he punishing me here? Probably not, right? Also, this is a really good whiff punish. It's really fast for a Power Crush of this type with this range. Look at that range, man. Full screen. Full screen. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, this power. But that is even a Power Crush, to be honest. To be honest, moves like this, I mean, it's just a crazy move, to be honest. It's deceiving, right? Because it's punishable, but it reaches full screen. Oh, and also, if somebody presses into you while you're doing this, so if your move gets absorbed, right, it does more damage. You see it does 30 damage, right? Now it does 40 damage because he actually pressed into me. 30 damage. 40 damage. It absorbs the attack and then does more damage as a Power Crush, basically. So it's also really good. It also wall splats as well. And imagine like a safe, basically safe long-range Power Crush mid the wall splats. It's kind of nuts, right? So those moves that I just covered are probably his good moves, right? And they all track for the most part. All of his good moves track for the most part. There are a couple there that don't track, or they at least track to one side, right? On top of all the other good things that they do. So basically, it shuts down your opponent's movements, right? Which is now why I'm going to talk about his while running too. Initially, when I saw this, I thought, well, it's super slow for a while running move. It's super oppressive if they can block it, right? And you go into Phoenix Shift. It's now it's now plus 14 for the Clive players. So there's basically nothing your opponent can do apart from, if the Clive player goes for this, you can jab float them. But it is just really not worth it because he has so many better options to do. you don't really want to risk jab floating that. He might do it, right? Because then he can carry on his pressure with +7, but... And his homing as well. But, I mean, the homing doesn't even matter because this is homing and it's mid. And this is uninterruptible as well. So it's not worth trying to sidestep there. It's not worth trying to jab interrupt. But it is super linear and it's super slow, right? But what I've seen a lot of Clive players doing, and when I've played against them, is running in to do this, basically. So your opponent thinks, oh, he's running at range. It's like just like Dragunov while running 2 or Claudio's forward 2. I'm going to step and then launch. But, oh no. Out comes forward 1+2. Or down 1+2. Or 1+2. I wouldn't even talk about 1+2. 1+2 is like, it's like Heihachi's 1+2, right? But it's -9, 13 frames, mid. So it's actually got pretty deceiving range as well. Actually hits from quite far away, to be honest, for a move of this type. I don't think Heihachi's would hit from that far away. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just not sure. But it's super good, and it's also a heat engager. Yeah, I mean, enough said, really. So you can run in and do this as well, if you want. So basically, that covers your opponent's movement options, right? So they don't want to sidestep. They don't want to approach you because of this. Basically, they'll have like basically one option or one set of options for counterplay against Clive, which we'll talk about a bit later. But now I'll move on to his stances. His stances are actually very good. Back 2, I talked about earlier, confirms Phoenix Shift. Not a mix-up, like a guaranteed hit, right? So back 2 guarantees anything apart from this, right? He isn't guaranteed this. I forgot to say that earlier. He's not guaranteed this, right? But he's even guaranteed the hell switch, right? So if there's a floor break, he's guaranteed a floor break. If there's a wall break, if there's a wall break, he's guaranteed a wall break or wall splat or whatever, because he can do this for a wall splat. So back 2 is super good. Already covered that. Raw forward 4 into mix is actually a very good approach tool. So basically what this allows you to do is do, you know, Kunimitsu's sweeping low that she does in Tekken 7? I don't know what it's called. I don't know the input, because I never played Kunimitsu, but basically Clive has that. But it's -1 on hit, right? So raw forward 4 into mix-up is actually really good because you can't fuzzy any of the options. This mid is 15 frames, for example. And this low is 15 frames, for example. So you can't fuzzy. You cannot fuzzy him. This stance, like, whatsoever. So raw forward 4 into mix-up is a really good approach tool. 4-4 ends in a high, right? 4-4 is mid-high. You might think, well, he's always going to duck that. He has 4-2, which is mid-mid, a -11, so he has a mix-up there. If they don't duck, you are +6, and you have a lot of different options you can do, which are frame traps. That's not a frame trap. Anything up to 16 frames is a frame trap, right? But you don't want to... The fact that these two are 16 and 15 means that you can't fuzzy, right? And jabbing is not an option. So 4-4 is very good. Down forward 1-2 is much riskier than 4-4 because down forward 1-2 on its own is -16, right? But he has an extension which is -15 as well. So again, it's super risky for the Clive player to do. And this one will get ducked way more often than 4-4. I found, at least. It's also way more telegraphed, right? But he does have a mix-up in down forward 1-4, which is -10, which also has an extension again, which is launch punishable, right? So there's a lot of risk involved in his down forward 1-2. But if he goes into Phoenix Shift here, if he actually gets this, even as a 14 frame punish, he is +6, and again leads to a very good mix-up situation for him in his Phoenix Shift stance. while running 2, I've already talked about this. It's very slow and very linear, but you never want to sidestep him because people end up running in and doing down 1+2 or forward 1+2. It kind of shuts your movement down. So you don't really want to sidestep him, to be honest. And then he also has... So anything -5 and above, or below, depending on how you look at it. -5 to -6 to -7. He can't get anything here. The opponent can literally... it's just a little bit of counterplay if you're struggling. And your opponent, Clive, is doing while standing 4 into mix, right? He can't even get the power crush off here. And he can't even get the Phoenix Shift 4 off here. I'm trying to do Phoenix Shift 4, which high crushes immediately. But I can't even get that, right? So if your opponent is doing while standing 4 Phoenix Shift, just jab him. So for Phoenix Shift, if he transitions to Phoenix Shift from 1-1 or while standing 1, anything that's -1 in the transition or more, you can actually counter this by dick jabbing every option and then blocking. So even if I go for the power crush, you see the Clive can still, or your opponent can still dick jab and then block. So for these two options, for while standing 1 and 1-1, there is actually counterplay to these options, which I'm really happy about. And he also had, let's talk about his parry. He has a back 3 parry. This parries literally anything in the game. So he has 2 options for his parry. First one, I'm pretty sure it wall splats, right? Yes, it wall splats, right? I wonder if his other one does. I don't think it does. No, it does this, right? Okay. His parry, like I was saying, is super good. One of the best parries in the game, I think. It parries literally everything. They both do the same amount of damage, but the 1+2 variation switches sides, and it also builds up his Zantetsuken meter. So it's super good. You might think jumping attacks will beat this, or elbows or knees. None of it beats it. Clive can parry literally everything. I don't know exactly when the parry window starts. Obviously, it's going to be faster than 10 frames, right? But obviously, his back 3 is super good. His combos... his combos are really good damage-wise, and his wall carry is ridiculous. There we go. And then you do a wall combo, right? That is wall carry from the default position on Colosseum. And he still had his heat at the end there. You don't have to use a heat dash or anything. So you can continue using your wall pressure. So yeah, his wall carry is a bit kind of crazy. It's fun, but it's super crazy. And then I guess we can just talk about his heat very quickly. So he has forward 2-2-1, which is +2. But he has a guard break as well. It's kind of crazy. He has a lot of heat strings, right, which are all like mid. But the main one I wanted to talk about is this. It's interesting for a mid string in heat to be +2 on block and have a guard break. I think that's kind of crazy. Also, that means that at the wall, this will wall splat, by the way. Oh. That wall splat. Let's talk about the weaknesses of Clive. He's quite bad at small Tekken. Down forward 1 is 14 frames. -3 on block. His fastest low, apart from generic down 4, is down 3 and -6 on hit. And -17 on block. He's generally countered by rush down characters like Law, Nina, or Reina. Any characters with like very good 10 frame hit confirmable strings, right? Kuma's 1-1-1 is also very good against Clive. He does have a mid at 12 frames, right? But it's -10. So it's not like Dragunov's down forward 4, right? It's like Dragunov's down forward 4 is like -4 or something like that, and he can do it at range. This is not mid-range, right? Which makes sense, because I don't think he should have that, but it's got okay range. But yeah, in my opinion, he's countered best by rushdown characters, like Law, Reina, Nina, Lars is 111 is also a good example. Kuma's 111. Feng's back 1 is also really good against Clive. Yeah, that's basically the biggest counter to Clive. And another weakness that he has is his strings, and especially his punishes, are quite punishable. So, his 10 frame 1-2 is for -14. Downward 1-2 is -16. You can carry on the string, but you know, then it becomes a mind game. His 2-1 is 12 frame punish. It's -13. And he has some other punishable strings like down forward 1-4. Like down forward 1-4-3, for example, or forward 2-2-2. Down forward 1-2-1. Which is a natural, by the way. It's a very good punish. That's -15. And he also has some commitment heavy lows as well. Down back 4 being launch punishable and doesn't high crush. I originally thought this high crush, right? It looks like Lars or Victor's down forward. I'm saying down forward 4. I mean down back 4, right? The slide kick. It's launch punishable. It doesn't high crush. It does give you a counter hit launcher, right? But it is launch punishable at -18, right? Down 1 is -13 and doesn't track like Dragunov's down 2, right? So it's -13. Doesn't track, well, not so much at least, to his left side. It still tracks a lot, actually, you know. But, you know, if I put him on block here and just do a jab, very easily sidestepping that. Because he's -4. Because he was -4. So it doesn't track like Dragunov's down 2. It's not homing, at least. Down 3, very heavy commitment, -17. And it gives you -6 on block, on hit, sorry. Down 4, obviously generic, -15. And then obviously he has the hell sweeps as well. And then a snake edge here, which no one should be getting hit by, let's be honest. And then Phoenix shift 4 is probably his best low. I think down 1 and Phoenix shift 4 are his best lows by far, actually. Yeah, commitment heavy lows, I guess you could put that under weakness, but his lows aren't all that bad. The conclusion, I've talked about this character at length for quite a while now, and I think he's probably top 10. Without forward 1+2, maybe top 15, somewhere in that range. If you want to talk about, if you want my opinion on where he is in like a tier list, I'm not going to go through and specifically put him in a place in the tier list, because this video isn't that. I just wanted to discuss his strengths and weaknesses, and then talk about my initial thoughts and just carry them on, right? So I initially thought that he was very strong, and then when I made that video a while back, I thought after a day and a half of playing him, he wasn't as strong as I thought he was. And now I've kind of done a 180 on myself again, and I think that he is actually really, really strong because of the reasons I've mentioned in the video so far. It's hard to see sometimes, but forward 1+2 overshadows basically everything, and you just can't really ignore that. Without forward 1+2, he would still be very strong anyway, with some of the tools I mentioned in the video. But verdict, he needs nerfs. And if you want to talk about specific things that I think should be nerfed, and by the way, I'm not like complaining or anything about the character. I'm just, this is just sort of analyzing the character and figuring out where he fits in Tekken and where he should be in terms of the types of moves that he has, in my opinion. Like, I don't think forward 1+2 belongs in a game like Tekken. It just covers too many options, along with the other moves that he already has, right? So I think forward 1+2, if I was given the ability to change certain moves of Clive, this is what I would do. Bearing in mind, I haven't thought about this for too long. And also, give me your thoughts on what you actually think about these nerfs, or whether you agree, whether you think it's too harsh or it's not enough. For 1+2 shouldn't track, so you should be able to step this. It shouldn't wall splat, and it shouldn't be a full heat dash launcher. It should be a slump heat dash. So you know when you get a heat dash like this, where he doesn't fully launch, you get a follow-up like this, instead of a full heat dash launcher, you know? I don't think it should be a full heat dash launcher. Back 1+2, no pushback on block. That's literally all it needs. It can keep the range, can keep all the range at once. It's kind of cool that there's a move like this in Tekken. It's kind of funny, but I think it's okay if there's no pushback on block. So if you do it from out here and you decide to do this, you are like right at your opponent when you finish, right? So if he does back 1+2, he should be right in front of your opponent's face. And -14. You should be able to punish this. I think that's fair. Nerf to his wall carry. I showed you a combo earlier with his wall carry. I think it's kind of ridiculous that he has a wall carry that reaches from the center of Colosseum right to the wall. I mean, the purpose of this stage and Yakushima is like it's like a pseudo infinite stage, right? It has walls, but the likelihood you're going to end up at the wall is very slim, right? It's a very slim chance you're going to get there. The fact that Clive can do this with a single combo in any circumstance, from any distance from the center, like towards the wall, I don't think that's good, really, because he's the only character that can do that. So yeah, his wall carry's a bit much. I think nerf the wall carry. Back 2, I think that's fine. It's 20 frames. But it should remove the tracking to one side at least. Maybe remove the tracking so that you can sidestep to the right. Or sidestep left. Sorry. If you're playing against Clive, sidestep this way. I think that would be fine. Just remove the tracking. I think it's a bit too much. 1+2. I think 1+2s, like, in general, should always be minus. It's 13 frames. It's a heat engager. It's mid. I think it should be -10. That's all. Just -10 is enough. Even a 1 frame difference is enough. -9 to -10, I think, is fine. And heat forward 221 should be safe, right? I think it should be safe, but not plus. So if he does this, he should be like -3, maybe? Maybe even -2, but it already has a guard break in it. 4 wall splat. So if you do this at the wall, you're getting a wall splat guaranteed. So I don't think it should be plus on block. And at least the charge up doesn't track, which is a good thing. But yeah, I don't think it should be plus. I think it should be -3, -2, maybe even -1. It just shouldn't be plus. Just should not be plus. Because it's mid. Okay, that's kind of going to wrap up the video. I just wanted to do... I always say I wanted to do a short video, but this has been 45 minutes recording. I might edit this down a bit. So yeah, to wrap up, I just I think Clive is not Leroy or Falcon Ram. He just needs a couple of nerfs, in my opinion, and he would fit nicely in Tekken 8. There's just a couple of moves that cover too many different options that doesn't really allow for effective counterplay against him in the game. So forward 1+2, for example, and back 1+2 being, you know, not punishable. Just change a couple of things with the character, and I think he would fit nicely in Tekken 8. That's going to wrap up the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on things that you would change or things that you would keep that I decided if I was given the power I would change. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.